Hi, welcome to Elementally Human. It's the usual face that you're used to seeing, your boy Hamish McFarlane, but I am very excited to announce we have a new co-host, which is my new BFF, Steph Money, best name in the world. Steph's just joined us. She's a veteran of the kind of work that we do, and she is our new go-to-market stud for New York in the US. Steph, welcome.
Thank you so much, Hamish. I'm very excited to be joining your podcast. Watched it for quite a while, really excited.
Get out of here. You didn't watch it. Come on.
Well, I have to say that now.
Oh, yeah, true, true. Yeah. Flattery will get you everywhere with me. I mean, goodness me. Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, it's a real pleasure to have you on board. So what we're going to do today, I want to show you the results of some testing that we've done. We love influencer marketing. We've got a lot to say about best practice using our system. Steph, are you excited about diving into some results? We have a particular campaign that I've chosen for you.
I am very excited. What is the campaign?
Okay, so Steph, are you into skincare at all?
I am a bit of a skincare obsessive. I
Okay.
would never tell anybody how much I spend on skincare a year because it is an obscene amount of money.
Goodness me. All right. You would be what we would call in market for this kind of product, I think.
Oh, in market, probably already using it, depending how high end it is. I'm a sucker for high end skincare brands. They get me
Got it.
every
Okay.
time.
So we're talking about a new campaign that has been doing very well from Dermalogica. So we've
Oh,
got here kind of a clinical grade skincare brand. They position themselves not as a luxury skincare brand and not as a mass market skincare brand. They position themselves as a professional skincare brand. So this is clinical trials, a product that really works, that is grounded in evidence-based research, that kind of thing. Have you heard of it, Steph, and used it before?
I have heard of it, and their exfoliant is mwah. My face literally feels like a baby's ass after using their exfoliant, which is my Tuesday and Thursday part of my routine.
I love it. Baby's Ass Tuesday. I mean, it just sounds amazing. I
Baby's
should
ass
try that
Tuesday.
myself. And Thursday. Got to drop that
Maybe
in there.
next time we'll have our sheet masks on. You could be a panda, I'll be a tiger. It'll be fun.
We could do it. We could do it. Baby's Ass, elementally human. So this particular campaign is running right now. And what Dermalogica has done is they have this product called NeuroTouch Symmetry Serum. And this is
Okay.
a particular product. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about skincare myself. My idea of skincare is get up,
You
splash
have
myself
beautiful
with
skin,
water.
Hamish. Just
Thank you.
genes.
It ain't baby ass level, but we do what we can with what we got. But Dermalogica would sort this out. This would be a page one rewrite for Dermalogica. We would get in there and get started. We are going to take a look at a couple of influencers that have been included in the campaign because this is positioned as a clinical brand, a professional brand. They are using, as far as I can see, influencers who are themselves in the business in a way, right? So we have here Nurse John. Nurse John has a massive following, and he does humorous videos on kind of nursing and nursing practice and things like that. But he's got a really massive following, and I don't think it's all just people who work in the medical community as well. So he's done this particular funny video. I'm going to just press play so we can kind of look at it, where he plays two characters. They're both nurses who are going to be working the same shift tonight. One of them's using the Symmetry Serum, looking fantastic, is in a good mood. The other one is bemoaning the plight of nurses, is stressed about the evening shift and all that kind of thing. And they have this funny little repartee. Now, Steph, you're big on, I think, pop culture and the latest references. You have to explain this to me. He says, you look really snatch. Let me see if I can find it.
Do you not know what snatched means?
What the hell does that mean? Tell me.
I mean, snatched is when you are like pulled together, you are looking fine as anything. It is like everything is like on point. That is snatched. I love how I
On
do this
fleek.
immediately because all I think of is like Kris Jenner's facelift, but like snatched is what I'm thinking. That
The
is
the
the
skin the skin has been snatched and
yes,
stretched, right? It has
exactly.
been stretched across your skeleton to look as cheekbony as possible.
Exactly, but it's also just snatched is when you're like just looking very on point. Makeup's good, hair's good. You feel really good.
Okay, snatch when I grew up in Australia had a whole different meaning. We're not going to go into that. All right, let's take a look at Miranda. So Miranda is an aesthetic technician. So she's in the business and she is here talking about the product. So we have kind of a humorous influencer video, and now we have one that is much more of a review, right? So I'll just hit play and we can just get a sense of the vibes here.
Okay, Miranda is snatched. She's got great bone structure. She be snatching. She be snatching. Yeah, it's all about efficacy. I mean, especially when you have someone who's in the business, you just believe them more. And if I can look like her, I'm in.
I've paused on a very unfortunate paused face. She's looking very unsnatched right now. Let me try and fix that. So she's more authentic in that she's going to just talk about the product. She's going to probably hit the bullets of the brief, right? Mm-hmm. So she's going to hit the points they want to say about facial symmetry serum and how it works and everything like that. So you got these two kind of different approaches. Steph, we tested this using the Element Human methodology. So this is where we measure attention, where we measure emotion, where we measure whether memory associations have been created for the brand. Is this brand seen as professional? Is it seen as authentic? Is it seen as relevant? And also uplift down the funnel. Are these influencers cutting through and creating awareness of the brand when you think of skincare products? Mm-hmm. And of course, a direct call to action to purchase as well. I'm going to show you this data, but first I want to get your early thoughts. Crystal ball it for me. We have these two approaches. Which do you like for this particular campaign?
So I like to be amused on TikTok or any type of social media, but when it comes to buying skincare, we don't mess around with that. We want efficacy. We want the person who's talking about it, who's using it, to look a certain way that we aspire to. So I would probably lean more towards Miranda because of the tone and because of the way that Dermalogica positions themselves. So that one I would say would be my preference, I think. Especially also the price point. Dermalogica, that ain't cheap.
Is it not? Okay.
Oh, no.
Snatching ain't cheap, is what we're learning here.
No, not cheap. Snatching and medical grade, it just puts another like 50% on the margin.
So this has more polish, right? We think polish, straight down the line, aesthetic technician. This is how we sell clinical grade skincare products, right? Meanwhile, we've got goofball Nurse John over here. He's just not delivering for you, Steph. You're not feeling it. A storyline, bit of drama, bit of humor. This is
funny.
not getting it for you.
But it's not going to make me want to necessarily buy the product. Humor's not going to do that for me, unfortunately.
Okay. So this is interesting, right? Because we're going to look at quite a few different dimensions. Which one got more attention, right? We're going to start there. We're going to say, did it create great emotional engagement? Now, you might think this one probably did a better job of it, right? Probably did create more emotional engagement, but did that translate into what we want, which is obviously meeting our campaign goals in terms of getting consideration and creating those memory associations. So, Steph, with that in mind, let's dive in. I'm going to hit my little insights button over here and let's load up the study and have a look. So we're going to look at Nurse John first. Now, what we're looking at here, Steph, is our biometrics video player. This allows us to see the target audience, and these were young women in the States who watched this video. This is their emotion story and their attention story. So you can see that heat map shows where people looked when they watched this video. All those lines are all emotion lines. Are we seeing a spike in happiness and surprises and things like that? And of course, the blue at the top, if you use the key at the bottom, shows you the blue is attention. Are they watching at every single second through the video? So Steph, what do you see?
Well, let's start with the attention line, because I think that's the most important is Nurse John's clearly been able to engage the audience. So having such a high blue line means that people were engaged all the way through the content.
Yeah, that's very resilient. And normally we would see what we would call an attention curve. Attention usually will go down. In this case, no. He is holding it together and keeping people engaged all the way through to the very end. That's absolutely true. What about these big spikes? I'm seeing a lot of white lines and a lot of yellow.
Yeah, there's a lot of spikes in here. I mean, looking at the key, we've got happiness in the beginning. And you've also got surprise as well, which I'd love to dig into a little bit more.
Well, you know what? Actually, I got to give you the happiness one first. So this is a reporting of people's facial reactions that resembles happiness. So big smiles and things like that.
Okay.
They're laughing at something. Can we guess, Steph, what they're laughing at? Let's have a listen.
Help you. But wait a minute. Something looks different from you, girl. Why does your face look symmetrical and snatch?
There it is. So that little moment where she says, why do you look so symmetrical and snatch? People laughed at that. They thought that was hilarious. So we're getting this lovely validation that this emotional engagement is happening. the way we would predict it. We would be very worried if that was flat or if we saw disgust, which is the green line at that point. People are pulling a face like it's cringy or it's not interesting or whatever. The other bit I want to show you, Steph, is the end. There's this very cute little bit at the end here where one of the characters puts it on wrong and the other one directs them on how to put it on right. So let's have a watch. And we've got this massive jump in surprise. So people are really enjoying and engaging with this moment. Here it is here. So let me just get it. It's actually, sorry, do you know what it is? It's that last yellow line at the end there. So let me just jump to that. Here we go.
Oh, this is what I need. No, not in your mouth, in your face. 4 drops in your face and then upward strokes. My face, okay.
Super clever way of getting
Isn't that cool?
the product in. Yeah, that's funny. I like
And there's
that.
only one person. There's only one person doing all of this, right? So this is really great. And I think a really great device to use in storytelling is do something wrong and have the other person correct them. Nothing gets people engaged like something happening that is wrong and someone else gets to dive in and correct it. We definitely see in our research that influencers who have a problem and have to solve that problem to get massive amounts of engagement than just someone who is just merely reporting on the facets of a product.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it makes complete sense. I mean, at the end of the day, if an influencer has a problem, other people are going to have the same problem. And so it's a way to relate, create that relevance in terms of not just the product that they're using, but again, tying back to their community. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's why you see so many of those type of devices used within the storytelling with an influencer.
Yeah, and we saw that we created great emotional engagement there and had very resilient attention. Let's take a look at Nurse Miranda. So now watch this. Now, we have a massive spike, as you can see, in the green line. That's disgust. Now, that could be, we sometimes would call that focus because it's the kind of face that you pull that sometimes might mean that you are disgusted, but it can also mean that you're reading subtitles. You know, you can imagine, I definitely have what they would call resting bitch face. I have a terrible affliction. Okay, so here's the thing. We get this massive jump in disgust. Now, I think what's happening is she says a bit of a provocative statement at the start, and I think people don't buy it. She's basically saying that the symmetry serum is going to solve a problem, which is if you sleep too much on one side, your face gets a bit asymmetrical. I have a feeling people...
True.
Is it true?
That's true. No, 100%. My esthetician told me this. And like, because one of the things that I was concerned about was my face lot. And she said, where do you sleep on? But also, which side do you prefer to chew on? So that's why I have a deeper line here than here. She goes, because that's where you chew and that's where you sleep.
Okay, so Miranda is actually telling the truth here, but I have a feeling people didn't. I have a feeling she didn't buy it, right? Let me hit play, and we're going to see this big disgust and sadness lines kick off.
We sleep on one side every night, and we compress that same side every single night. Yeah. And then through daily life, stress, jaw tension, nerve signaling, suddenly you wake up and you realize your face is doing the cha-cha in 2 different directions.
Okay, now, when I first saw that, and I'm an ignorant male who doesn't look after his skin, I was like, what's she talking about? Like, my facial structure is going to get compressed or something. So I kind of reacted the way that we can see here. A general audience, I think, didn't buy this. And that's why we're seeing this big jump in disgust. However, later on, we see a big jump in other things such as surprise. So let's have a quick look at the end. We get a big surprise jump.
If there's one thing I've learned is that facial symmetry is not just genetics, it's habits, it's muscle memory, and how you treat your skin.
Okay, so we get a much more positive reaction by the end. She wins people over, right? And you can see her statement at the end is a bit more holistic, and I think people buy into it. She's holding up the product, so we get some really nice fixation. We can see from the heat map, people are looking at the product. So, okay, we have 2 different kind of emotion stories. Nurse John nailed it. Got people in, got them engaged and following the story. Miranda had put them on thin ice pretty quickly and had to save it at the end.
Yeah.
But we have 2 different styles. We have humor and we have sort of factual authenticity and kind of the legitimacy that comes from being a practitioner as well. So let's go and see, did either of these stories pan out? This is our stopping and staying power chart. And what this shows us is where both of these videos sit on 2 particular things. Stopping power, which is how well they are getting attention in the feed, is the vertical. And staying power is how well they're creating memories for the brand. And we have 2 very different stories here. So Nurse John is much more attention getting. way that Nurse John dressed, the storyline, got people to stop the scroll. In fact, that's ranking extremely highly. So that is, you can see, between the 80th and 100th percentile. That's within the top 10 all time for attention.
Good job, Nurse John.
Nurse John is getting attention. But underperforming on memory. So the cut through of Dermalogica as a brand, when you think of skincare products, you can see is at the 45%. If you look down at the bottom axis, that is under 50, which means it's under benchmark. Whereas you can see for Miranda, she's got a different story. She is killing it for memory associations. So what this means essentially is that even though you can see she underperformed on attention, for those that she did watch her content, she got that message through much better. And I think this is an interesting story about the difference between the balance between the content and the brand, right? If it's too much content, you're going to find yourself getting great stopping power, but low staying power. And if you've got not very compelling content, but you hit those brand beats, you might see what we see with Miranda here. The elegant balance of getting them both right puts you in the top right-hand corner, right? Killing it for stopping power and staying power. You can see both of these delivered somewhat, but in different ways. Mm-hmm. And now we get to have a side-by-side comparison, Steph, of some of the kind of typical brand metrics that we're looking for. Okay. So we already know that Nurse John did better for attention in the feed and did better for recall of the brand, right? Let's now work our way down the funnel and see who drove awareness, then who drove engagement with the brand, and then who drove the all-important, consideration and purchase as well.
Yeah.
So what do we see here? We see a side-by-side comparison for awareness metrics. Top of mind is the hardest thing to get. It looks like Nurse John won that one, but actually those are very low numbers. So 2%, only 2% of young women who saw this content in the feed, and they may have scrolled past it, when they thought about skincare brands, typed Dermalogica first. So there's some big market leaders that are dominating skincare that's sitting in our data. This particular campaign didn't smash that, but you can see that net Nurse John has it ahead. Any thoughts?
I think it's interesting. To me, it equates to market share as well. So the idea that Dermalogica, again, where it's positioned, it's medical grade, it's slightly more expensive. It makes sense that it's not going to be necessarily your first top of mind. And I think also people are using more of a mix of premium and drugstore style products. So, your things like your CeraVes. When you think of the first thing of skincare, that's something that Dermalogica does need to focus on is how to become more top of mind, because they're not necessarily taking over the whole beauty routine.
Yeah. And this does show, particularly if you look at aided awareness on the right-hand side, we only got it to around the 50% mark in terms of aided awareness. So there is some ways to go for Dermalogica to create inroads in this particular cohort in the US. And it's not to say that this is not the way to do it, but it requires some sustained effort to slowly build those numbers up, I think. And there's some big brands out there to compete with. All right, let's move along. All right, let's get to the mid-funnel. So now we're talking about whether we're creating engagement. So there's a few different ways we do that. One of them is favorability. So are you favorable towards this brand? We have our control group, which is 47%. So young women, 18 to 44 in the States, their favorability before we expose them to the content is 47%. As a result of seeing either of these, Miranda got it to 55, Nurse John got it to 51. So Nurse John was delivering on higher awareness of the brand, but actually not driving favorability. And that's despite the fact that on the right here, we can see much higher expression. So that means emotional intensity. So Nurse John took people on a story and took people on a ride, but actually didn't capitalize on that to drive a higher uplift in just general positive sentiment towards the brand itself.
Super, super interesting. But I think, it goes back, especially when you said it in the beginning where we talked about Miranda, where people showed disgust, at her, but to see the favorability and how that actually equates to how people feel about the brand, it shows, some really interesting dynamics at play here.
The fact that she may have said something a little bit provocative that people didn't agree with, the fact that people hung in there and she turned them around is a really interesting thing. And it shows the resilience of a great creator, right? Is they have a measure of trust with their audience and they can use that. They can say something a little bit controversial, a little bit provocative, something that people don't agree with. They're going to hang in there and listen to this storyteller, and that may be turned around in the end. And here we see mid-funnel, we have a higher favorability reading, and we have brand statements, right? So this is whether you agree with particular statements about the brand. So we've got things like, let's have a look. Dermalogica is an expert in developing neurocosmetic tech, clinically proven skincare backed by science, helps achieve facial symmetry, supports skin-mind connection, and uses high-quality ingredients. This is the uplift in agreement, and you can see Miranda has delivered again. So even though she had less of an emotional story, and even though ultimately less general awareness in terms of conversion for her audience, she got them more favorable towards the brand and more agreeing with the messages that the brand wants to put out.
I wonder if this has to do with what we talked about efficacy. Like, is this a theme that maybe is within beauty, skincare, that people want to know that it works, or they want to know what it looks like on somebody, or that that person is using it? Is that a possibility why we're seeing the results that we do?
They want to see more demonstration, right? And they want to see relatability maybe as well. Like, I'm going to put that stuff on my face. Show me how it goes on your face. Talk about it. Experience it. Yeah, perhaps that's what we're seeing here that Miranda was doing really well.
Yeah.
And of course, she has that legitimacy as well to draw on.
Well, she also has that snatch look. She already is snatch, so this is the thing. It's more believable.
Is it genetic, or can you work on it? Because, I've got some snatch gains that I'm going to go chase after this.
I mean, you can work on it. I've worked on it. No comment. I mean, only one of my eyebrows lifts. I'll do anything. That's another experiment that we need to do. Does Element Humans biometric engine, are they able to pick up Botox?
Tune in next month, folks, and we will find out. We have our test case right here.
Yes,
Love it.
exactly.
All right, let's get to implicit. So this is where we're creating memory associations for the brand. We've got Nurse John and we've got Miranda. Now, interesting story here. We're creating positive associations and in some cases reducing negative associations. We have a few traits that we tested. So did we create associations with the brand being authentic, easy to use, innovative, and trustworthy? Who won, Steph?
My girl Miranda.
Miranda was putting the runs on the board.
Yeah.
She was crushing it. But in particular, authenticity, innovation. Don't forget, she's an aesthetic technician, so she's going to bring this feeling about clinical innovation, right? She's going to bring that. Trust. Nurse John, with the humor, did not drive any changes in trust. 1% is basically within the margin of error, whereas Miranda did. So particularly for this particular category, getting someone who's in the business, that seems to be working there. However, easy to use? No. Easy to use was where Nurse John did the work. And I wonder if it was because we saw at the end that demonstration, getting it wrong and showing how to do it, and the character being like, that's how we do it, nice and easy. And so that was essentially the focus of what people took away from it.
Yeah, I bet it's because it's more of that like liquidy serum. So you see a lot on skincare videos where the creator will like put it on their face and you just see it drip down. But like in reality, like I'm not going to actually do that because it's going to just get all over my clothes and stuff. And I'm not wasting expensive skincare products. So I think that the way that Nurse John did that was really great because it's very relevant and people can relate to that problem because you see the creators doing it. But I'm not going to.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put the dropper on my face. Sorry.
Fair enough. What are we going to do? Get a bib? Crazy. So here's Miranda and Nurse John for consideration. So now we're getting down to the business end of the funnel, right? We're trying to see, would you consider this brand next time you're out looking for skincare products? And you can see Miranda again, that the connection between her ability to drive memory associations with trust, with innovation, authenticity is what's leading to an increase in consideration. And you can see has not moved the needle for Nurse John. So humor didn't work here. People are looking for much more, and particularly this is a clinical brand, it's a serious brand, and they want serious people talking seriously about it. And when we get to the lower funnel, you can see the same story. Nurse John again, and it's fascinating for me that Miranda was sort of under siege, right? Less emotional intensity, right? Less of an emotion story, and also got off on the wrong foot a little bit at the start there, said something that people didn't agree with, got a big disgust reaction, had to turn that around. But what was resilient that actually delivered for her was who she is as a storyteller, as a practitioner, and her convincing argument that she was about to create and her serious treatment of the subject matter. Talk through it, explain it like a doctor, like a technician. And it sounds like, Steph, that's what is what people want to hear to win them over. What do you think?
100%. It's basically what I said at the start. I want to know the product works. I want to know somebody who's used it, has authority on it, especially when you, like the names of it. I think it was NeuroTouch Symmetry. I mean, it sounds like something out of a science textbook. I don't even know what that is, let alone what it's going to do for my face, how it fits in my skin routine. So you want to know all of that information. Again, especially as you're spending a lot more money. You know, some of these products are costing 50, 60, 70, $100. And then on top of that, this is something you're putting on your face. You know, when you think about like
Yeah.
real estate, like this is the money maker, and you don't want to, especially people that are really into their skin or have any kind of hangups about their skin, you don't want to put something on it that's going to make it worse because you've already been working on whether it's brightness or you want to reduce kind of acne or scarring. So it's
Yeah.
a very careful decision that people take when they add or remove something from their skincare routine. So I think the humor is great in terms of hearing about the product, making it aware, which is exactly what we saw. But in terms of the lower mid to lower funnel, it makes a lot of sense that Miranda was able to convince people.
Amazing. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Steph. I think we had a really good little go through these very different and particular approaches to handling the messaging and the goals of this particular campaign. It was kind of blowing up, and these guys have both gotten lots of engagement online, but it's not just about the vanity metrics. It's about diving deeper, unpacking, getting into that story. As we work through these figures, we can see the real story and what we need to be doing to get the most out of our campaign.
100%. And what would you tell
Yeah.
Dermalogica to do next?
I think the data tells us to lean more into the serious side of it, go and get more people who are authorities in the space. Clinical is their positioning. It's not the positioning for every skincare brand, but it is definitely for them. They need to lean in on that. I think the humor was good in terms of engagement, but it didn't move the needle in the end. We saw purchase intent was flat. We saw consideration was flat. And it was pretty lean pickings for memory associations as well. So people had a good time. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite funny. Everyone was laughing at Snatch, but it didn't get the brand across the line the way Miranda did.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're trying to improve campaigns. And so, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense and love it.
Gotta love it, hey? Thank you so much, Steph. Listen, your wisdom
you.
on this topic, so great to have you in to unpack it, do an autopsy, as it were. Real pleasure. And very excited. I've got my new co-host that can, I'm sure, give me hell. Stay tuned, folks. Thank you very much, Steph. Thank you to everyone. Have yourselves a great week.
Bye.